everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno. Also joining us, Fox News contributor and the Federalist editor-in-chief, Molly Hemingway, and Fox News national correspondent, Griff Jenkins. Well, we begin with brand new polling showing former President Trump pulling ahead of Vice President Kamala Harris. Maybe a sign that her momentum has stalled. New York Times Siena College poll shows Trump leading Harris by 1 point in this super tight race. And the new polls show Trump also remains popular with a 46% approval rating. That's big. Better than where he stood in either of his last two presidential campaigns. And this poll is being called one of Trump's most overlooked advantages. Voters see Trump as closer to the center than Harris. And nearly half of all voters say that Harris is too liberal or progressive. That explains all of her flip-flopping. Those policies, they simply won't get her to the White House. But just ask Bernie Sanders. He seems to know this.
You have described Vice President Kamala Harris as a progressive. She has previously supported Medicare for all. Now she does not. She's previously supported a ban on fracking. Now she does not. These, Senator, are ideas that you have campaigned on. Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election.
Republicans everywhere rejoiced with that soundbite. Look, Molly, this reminded me of the Etch-a-Sketch comment from the senior advisor to the Romney campaign, where he said a general election campaign is an Etch-a-Sketch. You shake it up and you change everything. And he got widely derided for that. That is essentially the same thing. He's saying she's still liberal progressive. She's just hiding it. And it bears asking all of the American public, does she still support all of this? We'll scroll at her 2019 policies. Medicare for all, banning fracking, the list goes on. Medicare, Green New Deal, an extreme list.
Well, first off, I think it's worth pointing out that she hasn't actually changed her positions on anything according to her own speaking. She's had anonymous sources in her campaign come out to compliant reporters and claim she has changed her long-held, consistently held positions from when she was Attorney General of California, when she was senator, when she was running for vice president, or even as vice president. So she's got a lot of consistency. But it is true that she's willing to say almost anything to get elected. And my favorite example of this is actually back in 2020, when in the Democrat primary debate, you might recall, she called President Biden a horrific racist. She was asked about it on a late night show later, and she said, they were like, why would you be on the same ticket as someone who you said was this horrible person? And she kept saying it was just a debate. So she has this track record of being willing to say whatever is needed, but I think voters should probably look at what her actual policies have been over the course of the election.
And to that end, Emily, she finally put up a policy page on her website. But if you were wanting specifics, you just don't get them. For example, when she talks about environmental justice, she doesn't talk about fracking. When she talks about the border, she doesn't mention decriminalizing border crossings. Now, she's flip-flopped verbally, but why not commit to that on your website?
Well, because I think, frankly, the campaign and she lack the intellectual depth to do so. Frankly, I think she couldn't have that conversation honestly in any type of detail, nor clearly can her campaign, because all that they have focused on, to Molly's point, is redefining her in soundbite increments that will resonate with young voters and people whose votes can be bought. But the reality is that most people feel they can't be bought, because right now they can't even buy groceries. They can't buy baby formula. They remember back to the horrific things we've suffered under this administration and those that she has promised. So I think moving forward, what these polls show are that race to define her, that her campaign is losing. And it's therefore incumbent upon the Trump campaign to fill in the gap. As she talks about environmental justice, to say, well, we don't know what that means, but here we're going to talk to you about conservation. And here's what that means. Here's what that looks like. Here's the indigenous tribes that agree with us. You know, they need to fill in those gaps that her talking points aim to call in with people, but it's ineffective because it's based on nothing. So to me, this just shows her entire situation is fractured.
Well, you mentioned Trump, and Griff, if I'm the Trump campaign, I'm feeling really good this morning, not just because of this New York Times Siena poll, but I was digging through some of the numbers on Real Clear Politics, and I want to put this up. This is where nationally Real Clear Politics stands. You'll see there Harris has a 1.4% advantage, but compare that to Biden. 7.5% advantage. Compare that to Hillary, 2.7% advantage. Flip to Pennsylvania, where it is a tie. Look at the advantage. She's running behind Biden by 4.5 points. She's running behind Clinton by 6.5 points. She's not standing up to the numbers her predecessors put up.
Well, that's a great point, Kaylee, and there's a lot to be excited about if you're the Trump campaign. But I think the thing that they may also be happy about is that across this polling in the New York Times is that Americans don't know who she is. Is she the progressive liberal that espoused all those things in 2019 in the primary? Is she the centrist? Bernie Sanders perhaps said the quiet part out loud there. Her values haven't changed, by the way. That's the only thing she said in one interview she's done since she became the nominee. But when you look into that poll, 28% said they needed to know more about her, compared to only 9% said they needed to know more about Trump, which means they don't really know where she stands. As you point out, that policy page is as vague as can be. There's no real specifics to dig into. And I think the most damning number in that poll, by the way, is 56% of voters said that Harris does not represent major change. So she tried to separate herself from any specifics to not nail her down, to be the candidate of change, and yet now more than half of the voters in that poll say, we don't see her as a change candidate.
You know, I see so much irony in what you're saying. So Donald Trump now is the candidate for change, and the change is what he had that was working. The change is what people have already seen. And that's ironic, because usually people want you to imagine what it would be like if it were them, and that's what she's trying to do. You don't really have to imagine with him. You can hate the posts and the tweets and blah, 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 but you got to love those gas prices. You got to love those food prices. You got to love a guy who's got a plan for tackling inflation that actually is about tackling inflation.
And to that point, 51% in that same poll did see Trump as major change candidate.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. Change to what worked. Real quickly, you had that scroll on before, and I caught it, the very first item, starting ICE, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, from scratch. This from a woman who failed at the border. You want her to take one of the infrastructures of keeping us safe in America, the Customs Enforcement Department, and we can have all sorts of talks and arguments about how much stronger they need to be, especially right now with millions of illegal immigrants unaccounted for, particularly children in this country, and potential sex trafficking victims there. But the bottom line is that who you want, starting something from scratch that has something to do with national security? And where is she on foreign policy? That's another one of those rails that affects national security. I don't think, and look, maybe she can cook. She's been talking a lot about food. Keep your cooking from scratch in the kitchen for all of us, because I wouldn't be doing it either. I'm not the Harris who's running either. But come on, we need somebody who can tell us, articulate exactly what it's going to look like, not build customs enforcement from scratch.
Yeah, Molly, I do want to pull up that change number that's been mentioned repeatedly, and you see it here. So more than 60% of voters want change, and only 25% say Harris represents the change, 53% say Trump does. The reason I want to focus on this is because, look, run away from the Biden legacy. If I'm Kamala Harris, my job on that stage is not to create a legacy for Biden that doesn't exist. It's to win an election. And that means saying, I stood up to him here, I stood up to him there. Yeah. This is where he is wrong. It means being tough. I don't think she could do that.
Well, I mean, she's got a very difficult situation here with this debate that she's going into. She has to run against everything she's ever said or done as an elected official. She's also got to run against her current administration. She's the incumbent. And that effort that has definitely been made to sort of bamboozle the American public into thinking she's not the incumbent has clearly failed, probably because the American people are not stupid. And then she also has to run against Donald Trump. I think we really can't understate how dramatic these New York Times poll results are. You know, you pointed out what was happening 4 years ago. This New York Times Siena poll 4 years ago had Biden up 8 points. She's down 1. I mean, that's a 9-point spread. And you remember 2016 and 2020 were essentially tied elections. One that Trump narrowly won and one that Trump narrowly lost. If she's running 8 points behind her predecessor, that's extremely bad news and explains why Democrats are in a bit of panic mode today.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, I think it's Trump's election to lose. It's Kamala Harris's debate that she must win tomorrow. She has to win it. So we'll see.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.